Hello and welcome to TPT Chats, our journey, your next step. And I'm Annette from Count on Coop, and I create math resources in my TPT store. And I also teach others how to create their own resources for their TPT stores. And this is
And I'm Malia, and I help teachers start and grow their profitable TPT stores so that they can share their resources with teachers around the world and make some money doing it. So,
okay. So we just started having a conversation. We're like, we should record this because we're literally talking about the topic that that is in this TPT chat. We are talking about batching. How do we batch? What's the different ways to batch work? Why batch work? Like, what is the point of it? So I guess we'll start with that. Why would you batch work in order to create for TPT resources, for example? So what is the purpose?
well, well, let's maybe backtrack a little bit. What is batching, right?
Good
Not
point.
everyone knows what batching is, and I
True.
sometimes feel like a little ignorant to just assume people know it. But batching, think about you're making a batch of cookies. You're not making one cookie at a time, making it, putting it on the tray, putting it in the oven, taking out that one cookie and then making it, right? You're making like 12 cookies at a time. And each
Hmm.
time you're putting that one batch of cookies in, you take the one batch of cookies out. That's essentially batching. It's just the same process in big chunks, right? For me, I don't know, batching is something, my why for batching is it makes my brain focus on like the one task. So I'm not like switching constantly and then getting confused and lost with what I have to do.
Hmm.
It also just seems less overwhelming for me when I like am doing everything in one set at a time. What about you?
I would say the same thing. I think my brain space, like I'm on one type of topic at a time, so I know exactly, okay, if I redo this process, this short process, right? Because you want to keep it like focused
Hmm.
over and over again, then I know I'm doing it right. Versus when I change gears all the time, I'm like, I always forget a step in the process. Or even when I do
Yes.
it like a month later, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. So
Or you
when
feel like
I'm
you have to go back to change
batching.
something.
Oh,
Yep.
so I definitely love batch working for sure.
So what do you batch? Because I know there's several different ways that people batch things. There's no cookie cutter way to keep, the cookie
Yeah.
analogy going, but there's no one way to keep batching resources, right? So
Yeah.
I know that you can do it by like resource. So like you're making a bunch of like you do this, you make one
Hmm.
resource for a bunch of different topics or a bunch of different grade levels. We kind of do that. But some people also do it by topic
Hmm.
where like you're making your set of notes, you're making the practice, you're making the homework, you're making the warm up. It's all around that same topic, and then you
Yeah.
put that on to TBT at the same time. So it's really, I think, if do you want to batch the type of resource or do you want to batch the content that you're doing? Um,
Hmm.
I feel like for math, it's a little different because I don't, for me personally, I don't know if I want to batch the same math for the same topic for like five different things, I think I would run out of problems. I would run out of ideas. So I am definitely on the team of batching by resource.
I definitely batch by resource. So when I'm creating, I don't know, my most recent batch is these cubes, right? So I create for multiple grade levels. So I'm going to create the same type of cube for multiple grade levels. Like that's how I batch. And then I finish that specific, cube, and then I move on to the next one and do it the process all the way through again. When I created just for one grade level, I kind of did the same thing. Like, so, I don't know, let me use a task cards, for example, right? I did
Hmm.
make task cards for the year, right? So when I was making task cards, I would make them for different math topics throughout the year. And it was like I was in task card mode. I knew exactly what I had to put in each task card. I knew what the direction page was going to say. And I would make multiple different task cards for the year. So that's more product batching, where you're
Hmm.
like thinking of that specific product. I'm going to do that specific product for multiple different topics. So that's how I do it. Whether
Okay.
it's for different grades or for the same grade, multiple topics.
Okay. So I know you're currently batching these cubes. Can you
Mm.
like walk us start to finish? Like, what does that look like? Because I know right now you're doing like St. Patrick's Day stuff.
Mhm.
So Can you walk us
No,
through
this will
your
not film
process?
anywhere near St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, we're way before St. Patrick's Day. So, yeah.
Uh, yes. So I come up with the idea. I actually sketch out what each of the sides of the cubes will look like on paper, or I'm like, what is included with St. Patrick's Day? I want to include a rainbow. I want to include coins. I want to include something green, right? Shamrocks or whatever. So I want to make sure that each of those sides is included. Then I decide which sides have word problems and which sides are just computation problems. I try to make sure there's a matching side, right? I want each side to be different. So I like think through that whole cube first. First one's always the hardest, right? Because I have to think through the
Yeah.
entire process of the cube before I can replicate that for other grade levels. So then I come up with, okay, I think about what standards for each of the grade levels. I do that before I even start the cube. So I know, um, for fifth and sixth grade, right? I kind of do like, or fourth and fifth, right? I did fractions and then a level up of that same topic of fractions. So I'm kind of in the
Ooh,
same mode, just like it's a little harder. It's the grade level up. Anyway, so I start with the standards. I look at which ones I'm going to use. I think through the process of the cubes. And then it's a lot easier to be like, okay, the first side for this cube is going to be word problems. The first side for this cube is going to be word problems, and so on. So I finished the whole process of like second grade. Then I'll finish the whole cube of third grade, fourth, and then create them. Then I print them all out at the same time and I edit them to make sure all the math is right or all the grammar's right and all of that. Then
right.
I will color them all and then I will create them all. And then I will, so I'll have six going at the same time versus me creating second grade, going through the whole process, third grade going through
Yeah.
the whole process, right? So I'm coloring six at the same time. I'm taking pictures of all six at the same time. I'm uploading TPT. I'm doing all six at the same time. So that's how I batch.
I love it. I mean, it's great because you are doing the same resource. So really it's like once you make your template, right? You just
Mhm,
duplicate it, change the math because you have the
mhm,
pictures. Like you said, just setting it up is always the longest and a little bit tricky because you're like, oh, do I like this? Should I change it? But then it's
mhm,
easy peasy because you're not changing it for each one. You're changing it from the start and then it's set for every single one after that.
mhm,
Um, so for me, it's very similar in the sense for product creation. But Annette freaks out every time I show her things like this. My batching is very visual in the sense of when I create it, I use PowerPoint. So I have my template. So, for example, right now I'm creating a set of circuit worksheets that are self-checking for rational functions unit. So I have it, yeah, big math here. You're doing fractions, I'm doing the fractions with, the
yeah.
X's and Y's inside of it. Little different,
She's
but
leveling up from mine. Yeah.
yeah, I'm like 6 steps ahead of your kids at that point. But I have my template for it, so I just duplicate it. I put in the math, but I have from my list of products I want to create, I know that I go by unit. And so like right now there's 5 topics within my rational functions unit. So I need to make 5 different circuit worksheets with the 5 different topics.
Mhm,
So I'll put in the math and then I'll save it to my desktop and I'm like the actual screen. And so I create those 5 topics and I line them all up very organized at the top of my desktop. And then I save them, I flatten them, and I save those PDFs right underneath the PowerPoint files, all very nicely lined up. Then I work on creating the listing pieces, like the covers, and I do all of that at once. But what I do is in between, like the product photography part, it's one thing to create your resource, and you're like, whew, that was the whole thing. Great, done. But you're not done. You still have to take the pictures, take the screenshots, and create the listing process. So I usually will create the products like in on one of my TPT Fridays, I'll probably sit down and
mhm,
put the math in and flatten them and everything and have a nice PDF ready to go. But then another day, I'm going to go in and create the covers. And I sit there and I have just one cover file and I make this cover. And all I have to do is right click on the image and swap out the picture, change the title, export it as a PNG, and save it to my desktop. But everything is
mhm,
all like lined up very nicely in the way that I would upload it to TPT. So that when I have, my product file, my or the PowerPoint file, the PDF file, the thumbnails, the thumbnail drive, the preview file, like all of that is like in a nice line. But when you're doing like 5 or 6 products at a time, it's like
Mhm.
all over the place. It's very organized, but Annette is, I'll probably insert a picture or something here. But Annette's like, how, that's a lot. That's a lot. But it makes it easier for me that it's all in this line. So when I open up TBT, the first file is your product PDF file, right? So I just drag and drop that. And then the next one is your preview. So I drag and drop the preview. I drag and drop the cover, the thumbnails. So it's all like nicely lined up. So it's like a checklist for me. I'm like, I got that,
Mhm.
I got that, I got that. And then I just change out the title and the description. So, I mean, it's a longer process, but it's very rewarding to be like, okay, that took me a couple days, but I've got 5 products up. You know,
Mhm.
there's that whole unit of stuff up, and it took me a little bit, but it's easier because my brain is like focused on the big chunk at a time. Like I make all my previews at the same time. Previews are like the thing I hate, I despise. I don't know anyone who likes making previews.
Mhm.
If you do, let us
Don't ask me because
know.
I don't even make them. So.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we have another, that's a whole other conversation between she and I. So,
Sorry.
but
Follow Malia, not me on that.
yeah, so I avoided making previews, and this is like one way for me to just like I wouldn't say enjoy it. I do not enjoy it. But like make sure that I get it done because I can't upload it until I get that done, you know?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
batching for
All
me
right.
is just like a
So
checklist.
we kind of have, I mean, we do the same process for each of them. It's just your desktop overwhelms me.
It's very
It's the
visual.
difference. I was like, mine is in folders in the right spots, and I know
I was like,
exactly where to find them, but
yeah, before we got on this call, we started talking about what we're going to talk about on this call. And I was like, well, we need to, because this reaction that you're having needs to be filmed, first of all, because mine is very visual. And I like show her, and she's just like, what the heck? But it's not like my desktop is messy, it's organized. It's just not in folders. Oh, but the other thing is, if you're wondering, like, what the heck do I do with all those files afterwards? They don't just sit on my desktop. After I upload them to TPT and everything's been, added, I add everything to my Google Drive. Like I like select all of the files, put it into my folder on Google Drive. You probably put it in a folder on your desktop, and then I delete everything off my desktop.
just bananas to me. I don't, I mean, I guess the difference is we use two different platforms, which
True.
again, another difference between us. But she uploads to Google Drive. I use PowerPoint and I use OneDrive. So everything's on OneDrive. So my desktop is replicated on OneDrive. So in my folders on my desktop, it just says TPT, and then it's like folders within folders within
Yeah, it's like
folders.
the Russian doll
But
system.
yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Because some of them are like, topic based and some of them are grade levels. It's interesting. But anyway, so mine is all uploaded automatically, like saved
Hmm.
automatically onto OneDrive. So I never delete anything because it's automatically uploaded to OneDrive and it just remains, on my desktop,
Yeah, I just
I
put
guess.
everything on the cloud. I got too nervous. I mean, there was a point actually that
Well, it is a cloud. It's just a
something,
different cloud.
yeah, I don't know. I'm sure no, I know you're right. And everyone does their own thing differently. I just got scared one time because when I was starting out on TPT, like I had spilled
Hmm.
something on my laptop,
Hmm.
and I really thought like I just lost everything. So from then on, everything just went to the cloud. I had it on my phone. I could
Huh?
access it on another computer. I know you could do it with OneDrive. I just am like in the Google Drive mode that's where I put everything.
No, that totally makes sense. And this is a cautionary tale for everybody. I know this isn't
Yes.
batching necessarily, but I had the same exact problem. There was like years of TPT work on my computer, and my computer just shut down and stopped working one day. And I was like
Ah,
serious panic mode went through my body. And, I thankfully had somebody that knew computers better than I did, was able to like get it started again. But from that moment on, I was like, everything is in the cloud. It has to be duplicated to the cloud because I was like, I cannot. I was like, it's like years of work
oh,
almost disappeared. I was like, what happened?
I hope we're not talking about this and it jinxes us in the next like whatever time frame.
Well, we have
Never.
clouds now, though. That's the
Yes,
difference.
true. And I mean, for me, when I organize everything in there, it's like the batching is there too. It's like you said, you
Yeah.
have the folders, right? So it's all in
Mhm.
there, and I can go into the folder and I can pull out the PowerPoint file and make any tweaks or change an answer
Yes.
if I need to. And that's the nice part too. If like you're making updates, like I'm in the process of updating things, I have all of those PowerPoint files
Mhm.
still where I can just pull it,
Yeah.
tweak it however I need to, update my branding or like I did that when I updated my branding. I saved all the files
Hmm.
and I just changed the colors. I changed a little bit, but it was all done right there. I
Yeah.
wasn't searching for anything and I wasn't starting from scratch,
Yeah.
right? So just doing the same process over and over again, that same task, batching, batching, batching. I love it. It's so much easier and it makes it my brain happy.
Yeah. And you can kind of know how much time for each of the processes
True.
too. Because once you do it once, you're like, oh, that took me this much time. So if you
Hmm.
have a half an hour, you can do that many parts of the process. So that's also a
And it
helpful.
also gets faster too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you're doing the
Definitely.
same kind of process over and over again. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So thanks for watching our batching episode. I hope you take some tips and tricks and well also get a cloud to save your files.
Yes.
But batching, batching is the message that we are leaving here with today. And let us know how do you batch? Do you batch differently than us? That'd be interesting to know.
Oh, yeah, I'd love to know that. Yeah, send us a DM or an email and we'd love to hear from you.